Good evening, everyone. I'm Liz Sebastian. It's Monday, February 10th. It's great having you back with us. Opposition leader Philip Davis is chastising National Security Minister Marvin Dames over recent comments made by the minister following several home invasions over the past few weeks. The Progressive Liberal Party leader accused Mr. Dames of being tone-deaf and insensitive. Last Friday, responding to reports on several home invasions, Mr. Dames attempted to downplay the string of incidents, blaming social media as he says it's an era where everything is magnified.
In the era of social media, every housebreaking now is important, and so, but as we know, last year we said the same thing with any number of different offenses and found out that they were lower than the year before. After having said that, crimes of this nature is always of a concern.
Well, in a press statement, Mr. Davis said it's amazing that the minister would dismiss the fears of the public after hearing that there was a home invasion and burglary of the former Governor General Sir Arthur Foulkes. The statement goes on that the PLP is aware that this is not the first home invasion of a former Governor General, as the home of Dame Marguerite Pinling was also once invaded, and a report of the same was made and the direct intervention of the Prime Minister was requested. Mr. Davis is calling on the government to provide adequate security to former governors general. Mr. Davis says if the government cannot do that, it means that the government is a failure in the eyes of the public, and the general public will have no confidence in the government. It means the government is a failure in the eyes of the public, and the general public will no longer have confidence that the government can look after the country's welfare and security. In January, a woman was sexually assaulted during a home invasion, and just last week, another woman had a similar experience. To that, Mr. Davis said, yet the minister says there is no cause for alarm. Mr. Dames, however, while speaking on the issue, said those incidents were of concern to him.
The police are working very hard to bring those matters to some resolution. And I believe that they're following any number of leads. Where those leads will end up, we just have to wait and see. This is the world that we're living in today, unfortunately. And I continue to, say to members of the public that anytime you see anything that remotely, looks suspicious, you pick up the phone and call the police. Let's deal with it. And this is why we're working so hard to formalize these neighborhood watch groups that are beginning to pay some tremendous dividends.
Last Wednesday morning, outspoken clergyman Pastor Cedric Moss said would-be burglars made an attempt to break into his home. However, that was thwarted by quick-thinking family members. He said the incident has left him traumatized and with a feeling of being violated. It was not the same for former Governor General Sir Arthur Foulkes, whose home was invaded Wednesday night. Sir Arthur says that incident has left him and his wife shaken. In a fiery charge to police officers on the island of Eleuthera yesterday, Anglican priest and rector of St. Luke's Anglican Church in Rock Sound, Father Bradley Miller, said the country is too lawless as he cautioned police to carry out their duties without fear and favor. During the Royal Bahamas Police Force Eleuthera Division annual church service, Father Miller said law and order need to be restored.
We need to bring law and order back in our country. The country is too lawless. Too many lawless people in our country. Got no respect for God. Got no respect for man. Got no respect for law and order. If it's your mouth, your power, lock him in her heart. Don't get caught up into politics and politics. Do your job without fear and favor. Do not allow the members of parliament or even the prime minister to interfere with you while you carry out your duties as constituted by the law. Let nobody force you not to carry out your sin.
Father Miller also cautioned law enforcement officers to be honest and fair in their dealings, adding that they must not be bought. As in the society today, he said, corruption is the order of the day.
Do not allow yourself to be bought by thieves and rogues and petty dope dealing butchers. Do not allow them to buy you out. Tell them there's nothing on you for sale. As you perform your duties as mandated by law, which is to make To tackle crime, you need God. You cannot do this by yourself.
He encouraged law enforcement officers to embrace proper attitudes and values to carry out their assignments.
Respect does not come from social status. When you as policemen and women respect people, they will respect you back. I know we got some very disgusting people around, but nonetheless, they're still human. So we try to treat them the way they should be treated, even though sometimes they don't act like they're human. But remember, you're wearing your uniform, but there are people who are older than you, who are here before you. You still treat them with respect.
Police here in the capital investigating a traffic fatality, the result of another police high-speed chase. The incident unfolding just before 11 last night. What we can tell you is that police, having responded to reports of persons fighting in the street on Milford Avenue off Carmichael Road in an attempt to speak with the perpetrator, as pointed out by the witnesses, the male, who was sitting in a silver Nissan Skyline, sped off, leading police on a chase. That chase ended on Carmichael Road west of Gladstone Road when the vehicle collided into a parked dump truck. Police say the driver lost control of the vehicle, which burst into flames on impact with that garbage truck. The driver was pronounced dead on the scene. Police say investigations continue. Well, before this latest fatality, National Security Minister Marvin Dames, responding to a police chase on February 1st that also ended tragically, said that crash that killed 2 men was unfortunate. While he did not speak specifically to the incident, as he says it's still under investigation, the minister said that it's never easy when someone loses their life. Mr. Dames said these kinds of incidents are not uncommon in law enforcement.
If you watch the news, you would see in the United States and other places these high-speed chases that from time to time end in disaster. If it's not disaster for the persons who are being chased, it's some innocent civilians standing on the side of the road, or some driver going about their business trying to get to their destination, or even a law enforcement officer. And so this is a very dangerous business, especially on the streets of our nation.
2 male occupants of a silver Honda Fit led police on a high-speed chase just before crashing at the junction of Blue Hill and Moonshine Drive. The driver of the vehicle was ejected from the car while the passenger had to be extricated. Mr. Dames noted that streets in the Bahamas are narrow, but persons, young men in particular, continue to take these risks. However, he was adamant that law enforcement officers will not stop in its effort to combat crime.
Anytime someone loses their life, no matter who they are, it's very unfortunate. And I would again warn the young men out there, especially, who feel that living a life of crime is the only way to go. That there are consequences, all right? And we, in this small country of ours, will not sit back and allow a handful of misfits, right, to run rampant through this country and to terrorize innocent, hard-working Bahamians. That is not going to happen, not in this dispensation, not under this government.
Mr. Dames contends that the recent signing of a contract for the use of body cameras and dash cameras for law enforcement officers will allow the public to see exactly what happened and how it happened. As he says, it's all about transparency. Mr. Dames further encourages Bahamians to report anything that looks remotely suspicious to the police. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.